Foodborne illness sickens an estimated 76 million Americans every year, resulting in 235,000 hospitalizations and 5,000 deaths. Many of these illnesses could be prevented through proper food handling practices. Foodborne illness is expensive. Businesses lose anywhere from $10 to $83 billion a year as a result of foodborne illness. Again, proper handling of food can prevent many of these losses. Most food contamination comes from three distinct categories: chemical, physical, and biological. Chemical contamination usually occurs as the result of chemicals being improperly stored or from using chemicals in excess concentrations. Physical contamination is usually the result of an object finding its way into food. Objects may include hair, bandages, fingernails, metal shavings, or machinery parts. Biological contamination is the focus of this video, and there are 5 main categories: bacteria, viruses, parasites, protozoan, and fungus and yeast. The effects of most of these biological contaminants can be controlled easily by remembering the things bacteria need to live and reproduce. The best way to remember this is by using an acronym called FAT-TOM. F is for food, A is for acidity, T is for temperature, T is for time, O is for oxygen, and M is for moisture. If we can remove or control these factors, we can greatly reduce the incidence of foodborne illness. Bacteria grow best between 41 and 135 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature range is known as the danger zone, and the less time food spends in that zone, the safer it will be. Cook foods thoroughly. Keep hot food hot and cold food cold. Use a thermometer to track temperature. Properly cool foods. Use an ice bath to cool hot foods. Use shallow pans. Divide into smaller portions to cool. Reheat cooked foods to 165 degrees. Properly thaw frozen foods in the refrigerator, under cold running water, or as part of the cooking process. Properly thawing, cooking, cooling, and reheating foods will help reduce the chance of foodborne illness. But all of these efforts can be defeated if the people preparing the food haven't taken efforts to keep themselves clean. The most important thing you can do is wash your hands on a regular basis. Always wash your hands after using the restroom, touching your face or body, using tobacco products, taking out the garbage, handling dirty dishes, handling raw foods, and between glove use. Wearing gloves does not replace hand washing. Wash first, then put on the gloves. Change gloves regularly when they become soiled or damaged. Wash hands between glove changes. If you don't feel well, you probably shouldn't go to work. If you do, report your illness to the supervisor, who may decide to exclude you from certain food handling duties or send you home. Regularly clean and sanitize surfaces that come in contact with foods. Whenever the surface gets dirty, when switching between raw and ready-to-eat foods, and between food preparation tasks. Make sure you're properly cleaning dishes and equipment. Most dishwashers rely on chemicals and temperature to ensure the dishes come out clean and sanitized. If you wash by hand, use hot soapy water and rinse with hot water. Air dry the equipment. Store equipment in a clean, dry place. It's important to only use food from approved sources. This means using only USDA-inspected meats, Grade A milk, prepared foods from sources regulated by the USDA, FDA, or local health department. And don't use home-canned foods. Store food only in clean, dry areas. Rotate food, first in, first out. Date mark any ready-to-eat potentially hazardous foods. The best way to control disease vectors like insects and rodents is to deny them access to food. Keep the kitchen and storage areas clean and keep the doors closed. Keep all chemicals away from food preparation and storage areas. Label everything and follow written directions. If you follow these recommendations, you'll be helping to protect the public that you serve by reducing the potential for foodborne illness.
Food, acidity, temperature, time, oxygen, and moisture. FAT-TOM. We gotta remember that, and we gotta operate under those circumstances. I asked for just 2 things. Not just 2 things, but these 2 things will cover everything when it comes to food safety. And that is, be active in your operations, in the actual operations. During the day, on a regular basis, manage it in the sense where you're participating in all the food prep, checking temperatures, you're out there and you're very active. Save the admin stuff for later, and be out there and be active and know and be hands-on. That's number one. And if you do that, we're going to have things covered when you get an inspection during operations. And the second one is, what's the second one? I say it all the time. What's the second one? Anybody? Check people out. You have to, you're at a last line of defense. Yeah, you're going to have, someone else who checks other employees out, and they're going to do their job, and they're going to make sure things are done right. But in the end, before those lights are turned off, you're going to make sure that everything is done before employees go home. Before your employees go home, before people are working for you. You're going to make sure everything is right. When I go into a place and I see little things like just something not wiped down, or something left out, or something that is so clearly obvious that if a walkthrough was done, that it wouldn't have been there, I know that that wasn't done. And to me, that is unacceptable, because you have to do a checkout before people leave. When I walk into a place and things are closed, and I see these silly little things that aren't done, that's very disturbing. So if you do those two things, you participate in operations during the day and while you're open, and then check in a thorough checkout before you leave, you're going to be in great shape. Certainly you have the knowledge, you know what you're doing, that's why you're in the positions that you are, so you know that, but you have to implement that knowledge. The culture of ECI is very clear. The priority is food safety and upkeep of the facility. So we have to maintain that and know it and make that the priority when you manage. When we walk into a place, when anyone walks into a place, and they see pictures like this here, which I will pass around, but this is pictures of a facility that has been cleaned thoroughly and has followed the proper schedule and cleaning. You'll see that everything is as shiny as it can be given the age of the equipment. If they walk in and they see this type of organization and this type of cleanliness, they're going to immediately have a positive impact, positive perception of how the facility is managed. And if they feel it is managed properly just from their initial perception, they're not going to be there very long because they're going to know it's right. And I implore everyone to make sure that when you have your facility deep clean, which should be on a regular basis, you take these pictures and you put them up next to the machines that they are clean, and that way you can point out to everyone you check out, that's what it should look like. And they should be able to compare, and that's what it should look like every day, every section and every machine. We've gone through a lot of things. We've seen procedures and processes and videos about all of that, and it hopefully enhanced some of your knowledge today, enhanced it. You all bring to the table this type of experience already, but it will come down to how you manage. It's in each individual and how you manage. If there's a check sheet to make sure it's done, as Bruce was saying, but really it's how you manage it. It's going to be up to you to make it happen. It doesn't matter what kind of process procedures we have in mind. It's all the effort and the avoidance of complacency to make that happen and to accomplish our goals and the culture we're looking for.